Hi there, welcome back to my channel here. My name is Josh. This is Tarot with Josh. So if you're looking for a little bit, get a little bit more insight on yourself today, that's going to be your spot. We're doing another pick a card reading today, so there's going to be three different piles. Quick disclaimer before we get into which piles for which. Just take what resonates with these readings and leave what doesn't. And if we're kind of in it and we're talking about something and it feels like it doesn't really resonate for you, it doesn't really make any sense, then please, you can either pick another reading, go to another video, or do something else. Um, do whatever with your day. You're not required to be here or listen to this. Okay. Um, now, we'll say what we're going to be getting into today is I'm just kind of asking, how can we love ourselves a little bit deeper? So kind of think about that for yourself here and then feel which one of these cards resonates the most for you. We're going to be using this crystal healing deck that I got. It's got a bunch of crystals on there, so we can kind of use these crystals to pick our reading. For pile number one, we have a Nuummite crystal. Now, each of these crystals are in alignment with one of our chakras. This one is in alignment with the Earth chakra. But it's Nuummite. It says Sorcerer's Stone underneath there, if that helps you pick it all. And then for pile number two, this one's in alignment with our throat chakra. And got the Aqua Aura crystal here. It's Illumination. That's what it says right there. Then we'll get into the rest of the words on there once we actually get into the reading. But then for pile number three, we have Smokey Quartz, which is gentle grounding. So hold these up for a moment for you so you can kind of sit with these for a minute. You can pause the video or take a little deep breath, take a moment, sit with these guys and see which one feels like it is calling to you the most here. And then we'll go ahead and get into your reading. Hello there, pile number one. If you chose the Nuummite stone here, the Sorcerer's Stone, then this is going to be your reading. So we'll go ahead and we'll just read the qualities that we got for this stone. So if you're into crystals at all, this might be a crystal that you want to either pick up, or if you already have some of this, maybe work with it a little bit more if you would, if that's something you so choose. So real quick, I just want to say we're going to talk about the physical qualities of the stone and then the emotional qualities, and if that we can kind of use that as a little bit of an energy check here, make sure this actually like makes sense for you. If these sound like things that you might be kind of struggling with in your life here, then that's can be a confirmation for you that this is your reading. But if it's not necessarily something here that you're that like it's something you're really dealing with, then like maybe or maybe not this is your reading. I'd say once we start to get into the actual cards here, then you'll be able to kind of figure that out a little bit better. But yeah, you can take that as confirmation or not if you'd like. So the physical qualities for Nuummite stone is it provides deep grounding and calming, brings visualization from deep earth chakras through the feet for structural stability, relieves stress-related illness, helps heal the feet, ankles, and lower spine, protects against EMF exposure. And EMF or electromagnetic frequencies. There's a lot of that stuff that we get, and it can kind of we we are also electromagnetic beings, so it can kind of disturb our own field here. So it's good to uh, take some time away from devices and things like that. That's partially why it's good. Anyway, emotional qualities here. It helps bring subconscious into conscious awareness, uncovers repressed fear, guilt, and shame, supports emotional grounding, brings magical qualities and good luck, facilitates truthfulness, and helps us see past facades. And then there's an affirmation here we can use at the bottom of the card here. It says, I am powerfully protected. So even if you don't have this crystal, or if this is not something that you're able to pick up right now, you can just use that affirmation, and that'll help you out here as well, help you work through these types of energies. And even if you do have this will help amplify that crystal for you. So Let's get into the cards here. I already pulled our cards so that you didn't have to sit through me pulling all that. Um, and we got some interesting stuff. First of all, I used our Imperial Dragon Oracle deck to get ourselves some general energy for us today. And what we got was Mercy card in reverse here. Then we got the Destroyer. And we got the Aeon. And of course, I asked how can pile number one here love themselves a little bit deeper. So that's going to be kind of the specific thing that we're looking for with these cards. Now, I do want to read the Mercy card, especially the reversed meaning, because I want to make sure I'm feeling called to read it. And I love the commentary that's in this little booklet. It's super nice stuff. The Mercy card is the Hierophant. If you're familiar with tarot at all, and you know the major arcanas, you might know the Hierophant card. But it's about spiritual wisdom here. It's coming out in reverse, so that means that like maybe we haven't felt very spiritual, or maybe partially why we don't love ourselves so much is there's a spiritual aspect to ourselves that we maybe want to believe in, but are having trouble believing in, especially logically. It can be kind of hard to trust this type of stuff, or really believe it. Can take some interesting experiences to actually get there. But here, let's read what the reverse meaning says. It says, be wary of decisions and actions based on weak morals. Acts of generosity driven by guilt, lack of real value, lack of real value, and may be rooted in clouded desires. Stop and ask yourself what lies behind your decisions and your judgment of others. It is only through the development of morals and spiritual practices that the soul can find fulfillment. So this is, yeah, of course, very important, and a really important step for us to find that self-love within us is asking ourselves, what is it that lies behind our decisions and our judgments of others? Because we can start to do that shadow work within ourselves to um, actually work through these inner things, because a lot of the times that's really a part of ourselves that we are having trouble accepting and loving within ourselves. So oftentimes that question will bring that part of us up, and then we can address it, start to love ourselves in that way, and then start to work through that type of energy. Now, this is a whole process here. This isn't something that's going to be just an overnight thing, but this is kind of where we can start to put our energy in. So that, I think, it makes a lot of sense in terms of what might be how we can start to love ourselves a little bit deeply. Either that's something that you've already been working through, or that's something that you are just kind of starting to learn to work through here. I want to look at the Destroyer as well, see if we can get a little bit. Actually, yeah, I want to look at the Destroyer here. Let's see. So it is in alignment with the Tower from the normal Arcana deck, but the Tower, oftentimes people get like scared when they see the Tower, because it usually means like something like destruction, like the Destroyer and stuff. But I mean, in terms of loving ourselves, I think what's being destroyed here is a version of ourselves that we relate to the world with currently. And maybe right now there is a lot of guilt, or we act out of this place of guilt, and like we do things that we think are positive, but we only do them because we want something out of it, or there's an underlying motivation there behind what we're doing, that we're either subconsciously aware of, or a little consciously aware of, but we're kind of denying that part of ourselves. And it's important to address that part of ourselves that's actually having these feelings and thoughts and stuff, and looking at it and accepting that part of ourselves, and sitting with it and asking it why it's like this, doing that actual that shadow work with it. Ask it those questions, sit with it, because usually it's some part of ourselves that just has not felt love in a certain way. Maybe we felt like people have treated us this way in the past with this feeling or with this motivation, or maybe we don't even know if people have been doing this. Maybe this is just something that's been happening and it's more of a subconscious thing that's been happening, or maybe we have some fear that if we don't act in this way, then people won't like us. So that's our motivating factor to that. It's really important to look at what your real motivation is and be really honest with ourselves about what our real motivation is there. Um, from a neutral place, and trying not to judge ourselves in this process as well here. Um, so looking at the destroyer, I want to read the meaning that we got here. It says the inevitability of change can sometimes make us feel as if we have no control over our destiny. Unexpected events, catastrophes, instability, and setbacks all challenge our faith. We have relatively little control over external happenings, but we have virtually full control over our inner self. And it is the inner self that shapes our experiences. Before something new is created, something old needs to be destroyed. So I think that what this is kind of calling to us is to really look at our inner selves, and like stop putting the focus on what's happening in our outside world. Um, like I feel like at the if you are going to focus on the outside world, using it as like as a starting point to look inward is kind of the best thing you could do there. But I think it's really just best to look inward and ask ourselves what our inner world is, how we're relating with the world from inside, to actually that work of like looking inward and asking ourselves how we're relating to the world inward, being honest with ourselves in that, is a very good way to start to shift a lot of these things. And this is like generally like the practice of self-love, at least from my perspective, the way that I've kind of worked through a lot of things, is just doing this exact practice here. So we also have the Aeon here, and it is in alignment with the Judgment card from the Major Arcana. Um, and the energy, it says it's the fusion of wisdom and understanding. So I think this is kind of what we're being called to do, is kind of sit with ourselves and sit with our inner wisdom that is within us. Because I mean, if we truly like sit down with ourselves and do this work and think through these problems, um, we'll start to and kind of quiet our mind, to quiet that inner critic that will come up, obviously, because that's a part of ourselves as well here. I mean, this is a whole process that you're doing, but this is this is kind of how we can see that we actually do have the answers within us. And then this can also help build trust within ourselves, which is going to help us love ourselves more and deeply as well here, and really help us like focus and love on ourselves and fill our own cups up, which ultimately is the best way that we can enact change into the rest of the world. Um, Read the meaning here. It says, everything that has happened has been part of your unfolding path. Although at times you may have wondered why things were happening the way they were, everything unfolded in the correct manner. Now is the time for you to begin to understand the magic of the soul's journey and to extract the wisdom and insight from past challenges. With completion comes the power of rejuvenation and metamorphosis. Um, yeah, so I think honestly, with just these three cards, we can start to do a lot of really deep inner work just looking at these. Now, I do want to dive a little bit deeper with the tarot cards that we did pull here, but for the most part, I mean, this is generally like the work that we need to do. And I feel like you're probably somebody who either is just starting to do this work, or maybe you have been doing this work for a little bit of time, but there's maybe a call here to look at ourselves and the things that may have happened in the recent past, especially if you feel like there has been some sort of tower moment or something being destroyed lately in your life. Um, Kind of look at that and look at how you've related to that thing throughout it. Um, and be honest with yourself about the things that you've been thinking and feeling through that. And I think that there's maybe something subconscious there that we might be either consciously or unconsciously bypassing by trying to do these positive things in our lives and trying to do these good things from a place of guilt or obligation as well. So I want to take a look at our tarot cards here for under the Mercy card, which was the Hierophant in reverse here. Um, Again, that place of like insecurity, basically, that we're acting out of here. I mean, we got the Ace of Cups that came in reverse. I think this is just more confirmation to that. Um, Fact that we, you know, because I mean, if the Ace of Cups was in the upright, that means that our we'd be overflowing our own cup, right? That's like us filling our own cup, and it's like we're draining our own cup all the time, maybe for other people, maybe to present this version of ourselves that's like this awesome person, the savior, or always doing these good things for other people, or blah blah blah. But this is kind of telling us that like we're doing this from a place of guilt. We're doing this from uh, while our intentions might be good, our actual actions are not quite aligning with that because there's some part of ourselves that we are not loving through this process, and or some part of ourselves that we just don't love on a deep level or haven't looked at or accepted. And we need to kind of sit with ourselves a little bit deeper with that part and actually sit and do that emotional work, and ask ourselves like, why do I feel this way? Um, why is this the way that I'm relating with this scenario going on? And yeah, we got the Hanged Man in reverse as well here. I wanted to kind of look at the Hanged Man in reverse specifically because in here. So yeah, this is talking about like delusions, indecision. Maybe we feel like we've missed an opportunity here. Um, but I'm really feeling like this delusion energy here with the Hanged Man in reverse, because it feels like maybe there is a little bit of a delusion that we're believing with ourselves. Maybe we're lying to ourselves a little bit here, and we need to address that part of ourselves. Like, a way that we can love ourselves deeper is to be honest with ourselves. It's kind of that tough love energy, and sometimes we need to give that to ourselves because nobody else around us is going to be able to give that to us. I mean, especially if you are going around and like presenting all these positive things, other people might not even be aware of the ways that you are lying to yourself, and even if they are aware of that, if they were to bring that up to you, you're not going to be able to accept that because you're lying to yourself, right? So I think there's a big call here to really sit down and like ask ourselves like, am I being truthful with myself with this thing? Am I really being honest with myself here? And be okay with the answer that comes up, because even if just because you may be lying to yourself, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, um, or whatever. It just means that there's some underlying reason that you're lying to yourself there, right? And the important thing here is to actually sit with that part of ourselves and show that part of ourselves some really deep love, and ask ourselves like, why do I feel this way? Why do I lie to myself in this way? Why do I do this? It's like that self-sabotage type of energy here. We're being called right now to really ask ourselves, why do we do this? Why do we act in these ways? Why is this my patterns of behavior here? And that's going to help us get down to that underlying, that root cause of the issue. That thing, that part of ourselves that's not feeling the love that we are looking for, really. um, and then let's see, Yeah, and I feel like the Queen of Swords here in the upright is calling us to, the energy of us sitting down and being honest with ourselves and really parsing through our thoughts and the ways that we speak to ourselves, and the kind of the patterns that we like engage with, the stories that we tell ourselves in our mind, and kind of where something may not, truly be in alignment with something that we truly want, or you know just sitting down and being really honest with ourselves here. And then we also got the World card here in reverse, which sounds talks about regret, something incomplete, a lack of closure, some sort of doubt here. So I feel like wherever you're feeling regret or doubt or lack of closure is going to be your hint into where you need to go, and like the the direction that you need to point this sort of energy in within yourself to start to unravel this stuff and be able to love yourself deeper. So then we'll go move over to the Destroyer card here. We have the Four of Pentacles, which, I mean, this immediately is telling me like the Four of Pentacles is like you're holding on tightly to something here, and this might be the old version of ourselves that we're holding on tightly to here. That is currently being destroyed, being changed through our circumstances, and the part of ourselves that we're being asked to look at. And sometimes we can hold on a little too tightly to that, and this could be based out of fear. This could be like fear of changing. This could be based out of like whatever. Maybe there's a reason we were this version of ourselves, right? And um, ultimately our ego is really just there to try to protect us, right, and get us through whatever traumatic situations we may have discovered or been engaged in. And sometimes after we go through those things, it can be really easy to latch on to these versions of ourselves, and hold on to them a little too tightly. I think it's important to maybe ask ourselves here, what parts of this version of myself am I holding on to that's not actually serving me anymore? What parts of this way that I'm being is being asked to be looked at right now? Um, we have the Page of Swords in reverse, which is kind of, the page is a little bit of an immature energy here. But I mean, if it were in the upright, it would be like, okay, there's like this like childlike excitement in looking at these mental things, but maybe there's a bit of resistance in looking at these sort of mental things, and it's like, it's a resistance that's based out of immaturity. Um, there's if you're feeling some sort of resistance to looking at these mental patterns within yourself, I feel like there's a little bit of an immature energy here, and I'm not saying that to like dog on you or make you feel bad about yourself in this way. I just think it's important to be honest with ourselves, and I'm kind of trying to give that a little bit of that tough love to you, and the universe is trying to give that tough love to you to show you, to tell you that, hey, you're being a little immature with the way that you're thinking right now, and maybe it's time to really sit with our thoughts and sit with ourselves and be honest with ourselves in the way that we're thinking of the patterns that we have going on in our minds. And it feels like there's like this rumination energy with our emotions as well here. Maybe we've kind of let our emotions really envelop us here, and this has left us like sitting like. I mean, if it were upright, I would say like you'd be sitting in a positive place where you'd be, really working through these emotions, really sitting with them, really acknowledging them. But it feels like we're just kind of letting ourselves be enveloped with them, yet also denying ourselves the ability to feel these emotions and ask ourselves what these emotions are trying to tell us. Because ultimately, these emotions are just data that our body, or our emotional body, is trying to give us to help to tell us how we feel about certain situations. And that doesn't mean that like these emotions are ultimately truth. They're just data for how we are to tell us the ways that we feel, and it's important to ask ourselves, what is it that this emotion is trying to tell us as we work through this. Um, we do have the Seven of Cups in reverse here as well, which I kind of want to take a look at. Okay. So it feels like there's, yeah. So with our with this whole process, it feels like there's a sense of hopelessness and confusion, and like rejection. Like we're just kind of drifting around. That's also a little bit of this Eight of Cups energy here, and this is, I believe, a little uh, kind of based and rooted in this Seven of Cups in reverse energy, which is talking about temptation, indecision, insecurity, and overwhelm. Kind of. So what I'm trying to get at here is I think it's important for us to look at what areas of our lives we're feeling overwhelmed in from a neutral space. So it's important to try and take a step back and remember that we are not our emotions with this process here. This will kind of help us disengage a little bit with these emotions and not let them kind of envelop our entire beings here, because it can be easy to get lost in that. And that's exactly where this like feeling of hopelessness and confusion and drifting can come in. And then asking ourselves, like, what sort of temptations am I letting myself engage in? Like, what am I doing here that's maybe that I'm being tempted by, whatever you want to call it, if you're a religious person, the enemy, devil, whatever. But there's always this kind of energy, this kind of part of ourselves that wants to, engage in in this self-indulgence sort of energy, especially if you're sitting in a state of like of lack of love for yourself. It can be easy to try to escape from those types of things. And if you are escaping from those types of things, I think, it's important to be honest with ourselves in that. And let's see. And yeah, there's also an idea of indecision here as well. So, there's maybe some areas in our lives where we're being really indecisive on what to do or how to engage or this, that, and the other. And that's helping create this sense of confusion and rejection as well. It's almost a self rejection that's going on here, kind of rejecting things for ourselves, if that makes sense. But it's not all negative here. I think that this reading and this process here is just here to help you get to this next energy that we're looking at with the Aeon. This judgment energy, and like ultimately, judgment isn't about like judging ourselves or anything like that. It's about like rebirth and renewal and freedom and like letting our that like letting ourselves change and shift and grow, and that's kind of the whole reason that we're here, right? Is to learn and grow. And especially if you're finding this video and watching this video, that means that you are somebody who wants to change and grow. So this is ultimately something that you probably want. And while this is not an easy process by any means whatsoever, ultimately this is the process that's going to give our souls the satisfaction that it's looking for. I mean, especially if we're feeling like we're very dissatisfied in our lives, or we're just not, if things keep not really working out for us, there's some sort of dissatisfaction within ourselves that we're not seeing. And the Judgment card here, the Aeon, is kind of calling us to really accept this rebirth that's trying to come in for us through this tower process here. And this is why, like, I think I don't like the idea of like the tower being a negative card, because I feel like ultimately it really is very positive, because there's a big shift or change that needs to happen either with our egos or within ourselves or within our environments, or something that is just not it's something that's not serving us anymore, that needs to go, right? It's something that's built on a shaky foundation, on an unsolid foundation, and that eventually that foundation is going to break. And either you can accept that and kind of intentionally break that foundation yourself in order to sit with the things and actually do this changing process yourself, or you can let the universe do it for you. Either way, this change is going to happen, because if you let the universe happen, like, eventually there's going to be some sort of earthquake that's going to shake that foundation and cause it to collapse, right? And either that can be a big explosion, big, like, kind of almost violent process, violent, being with like multiple different meanings here, but that can either be that type of process, or if we intentionally engage with this changing process here, it can be a very beautiful, wonderful process, and a lot easier than some of the consequences that may happen with how we may engage with this, if we don't accept this stuff and don't try to accept this change. But accepting this change and doing this work here is really going to put us in this beautiful energy. Okay, it's gonna, because there's a lot of beautiful cards that came out with this Aeon. We got the magician that came out, which, I think this is kind of the energy that we're going to be stepping in as we continue to do this process here and really sit with ourselves and be honest with ourselves. We're going to start to see ourselves in this magician light, and from a true and honest place. If we're being true and honest with ourselves, with these things that we may not have been super accepting of in the past, that's how we're going to ultimately be able to shift and transform these things. And that is the magician, the alchemist, doing these beautiful things, right? That's the whole idea of the magician, is that they're taking these ideas from spirit and bringing it down to our physical plane and grounding that stuff into existence. And it's kind of like this master of all the elements here, right? The spiritual elements, the mental elements, the physical elements, the emotional elements here. We have the cups, the swords, the pentacles, the wands here. So I have the master of all these elements here for you. And I feel like you're going to start to be able to step into this energy as you go through this process here. It's not going to be it's not going to be an overnight thing, but as you do this, you will start to slowly see yourself become like this beautiful, awesome magician. And you'll be able to not only be this awesome magician, but you'll be able to find some people who will really want to help build things with you, either emotionally or whatever. You'll start to find some people who will, because basically what you're going to be doing is kind of changing your point of attraction. And if you know Esther Jerry Hicks or Abraham Hicks at all, you'll know what the point of attraction is. It's kind of that the frequency that we give out that attracts in the people and the things and the circumstances into our lives. And that's kind of the idea of manifestation and the law of attraction here, ultimately. And if you change yourself in that way and actually come into alignment with your inner source, with yourself, then you're going to attract those who also will have done that work and will be able to actually engage with you in this beautiful and wonderful way. And that's kind of what you're going to be bringing in through this process. And you'll also be bringing in, beautiful Nine of Cups, or Nine of Pentacles energy here, maybe a little bit of Nine of Cups energy as well. But yeah, this like, you'll start to see the seeds that you've planted will really start to bloom. You'll start to, be able to harvest all this beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's going to be a process here, but eventually you will be able to uh, harvest that stuff. And it may not take as long as you might think, too. Once we start engaging with this stuff, that's what the universe wants with us, right? So, like, once we truly give ourselves to this process, that's when the magic really starts to happen, and things, you start to quantum shift, right? You start to kind of shift your entire identity, your entire reality in really strong and powerful ways, and you can end up sitting in this beautiful, like, in this beautiful abundance, and like with all the things that you want in your life here, and kind of take ourselves out of this, like, um, this reversed energy here, this reversed Queen of Wands. Like, I feel like there's been a little bit of, like, we've wanted to do good in the world, but we haven't done the actual work within ourselves to change ourselves. And if we're just doing things outside of ourselves without actually changing within ourselves, then it creates this cognizant, like this dissonance, right? This cognitive dissonance that's really breaks up all of our intentions and like makes everything feel like a little bit of a lie. And I feel like right now we're kind of sitting in this like page energy. It's a little bit immature, but I mean, I think that there's a lot of like good things to be in this little slightly immature energy with these sort of spiritual ideas. Is like that's because a kid is so open and willing to learn and able to learn and like able to absorb information and stuff and like really able to like shift in these magical ways. And I feel like this is the energy that we're being called to step into, right? Is this because a kid's not going to sit there and like judge themselves about this, that, the other. All of that stuff is really just programming from society or whatever our circumstances were. And as we start doing this process, we're really being asked to sit in that sort of childlike energy of like not really giving a fuck, if that makes sense, like not getting caught up on all the little things, on the minutia of everything, right? We want to like start to see things a little bit from a bit broader of a perspective here, and then allow ourselves to kind of play and have fun with this process here. And I feel like, maybe we've kind of sat in this Nine of Wands in reverse energy here. I do want to read what it says, because it feels like, we've been fighting with ourselves quite a bit, or with those around us quite a bit, or something like that. Maybe we feel, we're feeling very defensive in this stuff. Like we failed. There's some paranoia here, some hesitation here, and I feel like these are the energies that we're kind of these are the things, the minutia that's going to get us caught and get us distracted from our ultimate purpose here, which is to learn and grow and to change in these ways. So I think that's all I have for you, pile number one. If this has resonated for you, I'm sending you so much love and light. I mean, this is not an easy process, but this is such a worthwhile process. This is something that I have been doing for myself for years now, and I have so much passion for other people doing this process. And I've had to learn to not try and push that onto the people around me. It's kind of partially why I'm making these videos, so that I don't feel the urge to tell everyone around me like how they can fix themselves. I could just put these videos on the internet, and then hopefully they'll find whoever they need to find, and the information can get to people in a way that feels more natural and better for people. So if that's happened for you here, then thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And if you feel called to, you can leave a like. That's the simplest and easiest way that you can support me and show your appreciation. And if this did resonate for you and you are on this journey here and you want to like leave some words of encouragement to anybody else who might be on this journey, you can drop that down in the comments below. I really want to make that a really positive place for people to be able to share their own experiences and stuff here. So that'd be pretty awesome. And then if you want to join me for this journey through tarot here, you can subscribe, turn the notification bell on to be notified of any future uploads I do. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night whenever you're watching, okay? All right. Love you. Bye. Hello there, pile number two. If you chose the Aqua Aura quartz crystal, I don't know, it might be quartz, I don't know. If you chose this guy, this is going to be your reading. So yeah, this is pile number two here. Now we'll start off just reading this card here, hopefully give us a little bit of an energy check, kind of see the kind of energies that we're going to be dealing with here. If this sounds like stuff that you might be dealing with, this is probably your reading, but use what we actually start talking about to really tell if this is going to be something that resonates with you or not, right? But if these sound like something you are dealing with, you might want to pick up this crystal. It might help you out a little bit. There's also a little bit of an affirmation we can use at the bottom. If you do or don't have this, you can still use that affirmation either way. So let's hop in here. The Aqua Aura is in alignment with our throat chakra, so maybe there's a little bit of a throat chakra work that we need to do here. Some truth, some honesty, using our voice, stuff like that. A little bit of confidence, whatever. So the physical qualities for this crystal are it's very high energy, charges electromagnetic fields to clear impurities, enhances basic life force in organs, strengthens the immune system, decreases fevers and swelling, stimulates the pineal, thymus, and thyroid glands, supports pancreas, liver, and spleen health. Emotional qualities balances masculine and feminine energies, connects with angelic and astral realms to bring inner stillness, joy, wonder, and peace, reduces panic and anger, enhances truthful communication, brings emotional insight and wisdom. And the affirmation at the bottom here is I am bliss. I feel like that's just always a pretty good affirmation to use in general. I am bliss. Pretty awesome. Perfect. So maybe there's a little bit of a need to balance our energies a little bit here. I don't know. I'm not going to read into that one too much because we do have a ton going on with our cards here. And it's probably a good thing I don't have a camera on my table here because it is messy. Just because we do have so many cards that came out, which not necessarily a bad thing, by the way. This doesn't mean that you don't love yourself, and there's a lot of things that you need to hear. I want to say that immediately because I think that there's a lot of interesting and good energy going on here. Okay, so to start off, I got some cards from our Dragon Oracle deck here, just to give us a bit of a broader idea of some energies that we might be dealing with. Might be getting in the way of us loving ourselves deeper here, so that we can kind of take a look at that. And then we got a clarification with our tarot deck. So start off, we got the Adversity card, which is in alignment with the Chariot card in the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, the Major Arcana, if you're familiar with that stuff. And I am feeling called to read our meaning here real quick. So, unfamiliar situations tempt us to revert to old patterns of behavior, which makes history repeat itself. It is only through strength of mind that we can conquer our fears and ascend to new levels of thought and self. Victory comes through consistent effort and openness to the idea of greatness, which we hold within us, the power to see things through to their conclusion. So maybe this is kind of what we're struggling with here. Maybe there's just this energy of being a little scared of some unfamiliar situations. Maybe we've done a lot of work on ourselves. We've done some big changes within ourselves, and we're having a little bit of trouble reverting back to those old patterns and kind of like struggling with that energy of the unknown, right? So far, that's what I'm getting with that. And then we also got the Mischief card in reverse here, and we'll go ahead and read that for you. I love the commentary that they put in this book. It's just so good. Okay, so this is the Devil card, which isn't literally the devil necessarily. This is kind of like transformation energy, at least in the upright. But the energy is the chaos from which order is born. So maybe there's kind of been some chaotic situations, or maybe you're kind of putting that chaos in the past at this point. So, with the reverse meaning, it says the only limitations to what you can achieve are created by your own mind. If you understand what is right and wrong, yet persist in following a path rooted in desire, you will find yourself living in a prison of your own making. Take a long, hard look at yourself and decide what you really want to be. The simplest solution is usually the correct one. So yeah, maybe you're feeling kind of stuck in like this weird chaotic point. Maybe you don't really know where to go, what to do, kind of like maybe you're feeling like you've put a lot of work in loving yourself and you're just not really sure what direction to go in. Like, maybe you're kind of sitting in this place where you're not really desiring a whole lot anymore because you're pretty satisfied with loving yourself. There's I don't know. There's a call here to look at your options and think what do you truly desire here, right? So we have also the wisdom card, which is oh yeah, it's the high priestess, of course. So this is kind of like that inner wisdom, the inner knowing, kind of our intuition, stuff like that. The meaning here is this card represents access to wisdom. This can come either from within or through contact with an enlightened being. To hear and comprehend this wisdom requires you to still your mind and body and to allow this wisdom to penetrate deep within you. Look at the energy behind the words and the actions of others rather than just taking things at face value. Though things might seem strange on the surface, there's a deep teaching taking place on other levels. So yeah, maybe there's a bit of a call here to look a little deeper, not take things at face value here, try and see the deeper underlying thing that might help us a little bit with this sort of navigational energy here. And then we also have the Destroyer in reverse, which is the Destroyer is the Tower card, if you're familiar with that. Which isn't necessarily a bad card, and we got it in the reverse, which probably means like maybe we've had a little bit of a tower moment and we worked through it, kind of putting that in the past. We'll see. So the energy here is the movement from material to spiritual. The reverse meaning says, if you feel like you are in a prison, unable to effect change in your life, the path to freedom lies in the understanding that your prison walls are of your own making. It is only by dismantling your beliefs, judgments, and values that you will find the freedom to be who you know you really are. The choices you make now will dictate whether you take steps to move forward through difficulties or become lost in the mists of them. Yeah, so that's beautiful. I mean, if there's something you're kind of avoiding either because you feel like you're trapped in something else, I think that's a very good point for us to look at and see, like, because ultimately part of loving ourselves is trusting ourselves, right? And trusting that we can do things that are grander than we could even imagine, and trusting that we are more magical beings than maybe we've been taught to learn or taught to be. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so we'll dive a little bit deeper into the adversity card here, the chariot kind of spaces that we might be finding these adversities or challenges here. It's kind of how I'm feeling like taking this. So we have, especially with some of these reversals here. So um, we have the magician here in the upright and the devil in reverse. We have the four of swords and the three of cups that came out, and then as I was shuffling other stuff, the lovers in reverse flung out on top of that stuff, and it kind of felt right to keep it there. So we're also taking the lovers in reverse to be part of this adversity card as well here. I do want to reread that real quick. Did I even read the adversity? Oh, I read yeah, So yeah, I feel like what this is saying is maybe it feels like you've really done a lot of work on yourself already, and you are in a pretty good space with self-love in general. And I think a way that we can love ourselves a little bit deeper can be to, because I mean, you came out with like the magician here, and I feel like this is kind of like that new version of yourself that you're envisioning yourself as or seeing yourself become, and or wanting to be in the world. And I feel like there's of course, there's this general call to like really sit with ourselves and like decide what it is we truly desire here. And part of that is like this Four of Swords energy, sitting in contemplation and meditation and like deciphering what that is and like really really being honest with ourselves and sitting down and being like, what way do we want to move here? There's the world's opened up to us, and how do we actually want to go out and engage in the world? Um, and that's kind of like this magician energy. And I feel like in this process, this can kind of help us with this difficulty with like these new challenging situations that might be putting us back into this old version of ourselves. I feel like these situations are kind of situations with other people here, kind of emotional situations with other people here. Maybe we have had trouble trusting people. And I feel like there's a big call here to really like look at that, look at ourselves, and make sure that we're trusting ourselves. If we trust ourselves to be able to kind of discern the people that we want to be with, then we have nothing to worry about with the people that will kind of attract into our lives, right? And what we've done here is we've kind of shifted our point of attraction, right? So like we've shifted out of this old version of ourselves and we're in this new version of ourselves, and it's going to take some time for that new version of ourselves to attract in the new things that we want, and maybe even the new loves that we want. Maybe we've had a really hard time specifically in love in the past here. It's a big message that I'm getting, and this is probably where a lot of issues have laid within yourself, but I feel like we've kind of worked through a lot of this stuff. And I think it's important to remember that we've done a lot of work on ourselves. So this means that we can trust ourselves to be able to discern whether or not these new people, ooh, my screen's just turned off, whether or not these new people in our lives are going to be able to, if they're people that we're going to be able to trust. Because I mean, if we trust ourselves and we trust our ability to see the truth in situations and look deeper past this like surface level stuff that gets presented to us, see the true intentions and meanings behind these things, then we're not going to find ourselves in these worse situations, right? Um, and then we'll be able to kind of work through this type of energy. And now that we've done this work, we're able to remember all the ways that we used to engage, all those old patterns, and kind of use that as a little bit of a guide, a little bit of a map here to like tell us like what ways we don't want to go, right? If we know the ways that we don't want to go, then that's going to help us find the ways that we do want to go a little bit easier, because we know what paths we don't want to walk down anymore, right? We know the types of people we maybe don't want to engage with, the type of energies we don't want to engage with, and we've learned a little bit more how to listen to our intuition and our internal guidance system, right? So we can use that and trust that, and continue to build that trust within ourselves as we do this process. Beautiful stuff. So we'll take a look at our mischief in reverse card here, which remind me again, it was the devil. Yes. Okay. Right. So there's this is kind of like this idea of this like mental prison, and like maybe this mental prison has been, oh yeah, so what immediately kind of came out with this was the page of swords in reverse, and then the five of pentacles energy. And the five of pentacles talks about, in the original art, there's the two people in front of the church, and the whole idea is like they're struggling. There's some big burden going on, usually financial, with the five of pentacles, because it's pentacles. But they're standing right outside this church that they could go in and get shelter and food and warmth and comfort and all these things that they need and that they're looking for, but they're not going in there, right? So like that speaks to this idea of like this mental prison. And I feel like that part of that mental prison is that those old patterns of engaging, we're scared that we're going to step back into that, right? And we don't want to do that. We don't want to go back to these old situations that we've left behind in the past here. And I think that this is kind of coming through to tell us like we get to choose whether or not we're going to step into or out of that trap, into or out of that cage. There's a song that keeps coming up. It's a Oh man, what's the name of that song? It's a Kendrick Lamar song, but there's a part in it that says, "I'm a break out and then hide every lock. I'm a break out and then hide every lock." It's kind of like breaking out of your cage and then hiding all the locks for the cage so that you don't step back into it and can't get locked back into that cage, right? And if that's a self-made cage that we've put ourselves in mentally, then we kind of have to do this process of kind of have to look at ourselves and look at the ways that we would engage to that would put us back into that state of being, right? And we want to make sure that we step out of that here. And maybe there's a little bit of like a lack of sitting in contemplation here, kind of stepping back to that contemplation here. And we're kind of afraid, like we're not. I feel like if this were upright, it would be like we are sitting here, and then the universe is going to bring this in for us, right? But I think we're not really sitting in this energy. We're not really um, we're scared. We're not really trusting. I think there's a big call here to have faith that um, that we've done a lot of work here and that the universe is working in our favor and that things are shifting in a positive way. Maybe not in the speed or the time that we want it to happen, because it can be very easy to be like, okay, I've done this thing, blah, 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 go, 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 But I think there's a big call to take a step back here and remember patience and remember that sometimes things take a little bit of time. And especially when we've made these big, massive changes within ourselves, it's going to take some time. And I feel like we're kind of sitting in this energy of like we're kind of refusing to go and step out on this new journey here. There's this fool in reverse here, kind of like we're not taking that leap of faith. We're kind of avoiding this leap of faith, and I think it's partially because of this Five of Pentacles energy. We're scared that we're going to be in lack again, and the universe is trying to tell us that's not going to be the case here. You have to kind of take that leap of faith and trust that the universe will catch you, and trust in yourself and in everything, all this work that we've been doing to make sure that the siren's going off too. If you can hear that, I don't know if you can. I can barely hear it. But yeah, I feel like really take this leap of faith and decide for ourselves like what we truly want to do here. Um, I feel like doing this is what's gonna like help us, find other people to build these pentacles with, to um, build this new life with that we want to live in. And if we really step out there in this energy of like, okay, I've done this work. I'm confident. I can trust myself. I can go out and do these things.. I can do this. Step into this like willingness to accept things and go and put ourselves out there, especially emotionally. Um, we'll start to find this new version of ourselves in a really cool and beautiful way. Okay. Then we have the Wisdom card or the High Priestess card, which is funny because underneath the Wisdom card, which is the High Priestess in the normal tarot deck, we got the High Priestess that came out in reverse, though. So I feel like this is kind of speaking a little bit more. We're kind of letting ourselves still be in this old prison or this new prison that we're making for ourselves in this energy here, where we've done a lot of this work, yet we're not letting ourselves go out there and we're not trusting ourselves, our own intuition, our own wisdom that we've gained through this process, and we're not doing the things right. So like this is kind of that energy that we're sitting in right now, and this is causing oh man, this is wild. This is causing like this wheel of fortune in reverse. This is like blocking us from the things that are meant to happen for us. I mean, if we're just hold away in this like this hermit energy, not putting ourselves out there anymore, that's really gonna. How is the universe supposed to bring anything in for us? How are we supposed to see these opportunities that are out there? Because the opportunities are out there, they're not in here. You kind of have to, can't just sit here and expect everything to just flow to you. It's a little bit of both. It's a co-creation. You have to go out and like put yourself out there and work on things and try and do this, that, and the other, and like take a chance on yourself basically here. And then we'll find like we'll what is the Ten of Swords in reverse, actually? Hang on. Right, yeah, we'll find this sort of like we'll start to recover from this betrayal energy that we've probably felt in the past. Okay, so I was right about what I was going to say there. Um, but yeah, so like we felt this betrayal in the past, but we'll start to like heal and finally recover from this because we'll see that like kind of we were the problem ultimately, which is kind of true, you know. The world is going to be a reflection of us, right? And if we've done the work internally to shift and change ourselves, we got to give ourselves the opportunity to go out and let the world kind of reflect that back at us too, you know. And that's going to help us heal that wounding that's still there. And then we got the Tower in reverse again, but this time underneath the Wisdom card. Lots of interesting synchronicities going on with the Wisdom card here specifically. So I feel like these are the things that are kind of blocking us from this inner wisdom a little bit, kind of blocking us from accepting that inner wisdom within ourselves that we've gained through this whole process. And you know, kind of interesting because like you know, in the reverse it would be this person falling on their back, but in the upright it would be this person kind of falling on their back. But I feel like we're kind of being called to kind of fall into this and intentionally fall into this sort of time and take that step out and let the things go that we built this cage around. And we'll find that we can step out of that mental cage that we've put ourselves in here. Very beautiful stuff. Very cool. So then with the destroyer in the reverse, this guy here with the dragon card, the other tower in reverse that we got here. Wow, that came out twice in this reading. We have the Hermit, the King of Wands. I feel like, you know, it's important as we do, you know, continue to be this new version of ourselves is to remember, like, if we do start to feel like we are stepping back into these old patterns, we have all the tools that we need. We can step back into this hermit mode and do the work that we need to if we need to do that in the future. You know, we have the tools now to do this, and we've done the hardest part now, right? So I think it's important to remember that, like, we kind of can't lose at this point, you know. Even if things do start to go kind of south, we can just step back into this hermit energy with this kind of King of Wands like mastery over this type of stuff, and remember, like, hey, we got this. You know, we can handle pretty much anything now, you know. Especially if you've been through a lot of crappy things, you know, you really had a tough go at it. Can be really hard to step into that trust with everything. And I think it's really important to remember that, like, you know, you've kind of made it at this point. You've done the hard part. The hard part was all of that work that we just did. You know, pretty cool. So, uh, we also have the Justice card here with the Seven of Pentacles, and I feel like, you know, as we fall into this like the what the universe has for us, or we fall into this new version of ourselves, just fall out of this cage kind of idea. We're going to find our justice for doing all this work, all the things that we've been putting this work into. We're going to start to be able to harvest and reap what we sowed in a positive way, and really like step into this empowered version of ourselves where we're working with our emotions here, we're really sitting with it, and we're able to live a much more empowered life now, and feel more comfortable if things go a little, if things get delayed or this, that, and the other. It doesn't mean that we've done something wrong. It just means that things are being a little delayed. You know, there's some sort of challenge or adversity, something that we do need to sit down and take a look at, and then we can sit back into that hermit mode and do that work. Easy, right? I think it's funny that we got so many like inverses. We got so many reversals for the big cards that we got, because this is the adversity card is also the chariot card here. So, and this came out at the end. Started off with the adversity card. This feels like a big full circle moment. I got full body chills. I've had full body chills for a minute with this reading here. So, anyway, I hope this helped. I don't think I got anything else to say to you except step out of that cage, break out and hide every lock, and if you need to use some sort of affirmation or something, you could even use that one right there, like, I'm gonna break out and then hide every lock, I'm gonna break out and then hide every lock. It's very fun. I think it's Money Trees. Is it Money Trees that's from? I think it's Money Trees. But yeah, anyway, I hope you got something out of this. If this resonated for you, you can let me know either by liking or leaving a comment down below. I'd love to hear it, especially if you're sitting in this sort of energy. This is kind of like, this is the kind of energy that I'm sitting in too. Trying to let myself go out there and put myself out there and do these fun things and trust myself with this stuff. We've done a lot of work on ourselves, and it's time to go and enjoy it. Enjoy the fruits of our labors. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you've gotten this. I hope this helped, and you can join me with this journey if you'd like by subscribing. You can turn the notification bell on to be notified of any future uploads I do. And yeah, thank you so much. I love you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this. All right, bye. Hello there, pile number 3. If you chose the Smokey Quartz card here, then this is going to be your reading. So we'll start off, we'll read this guy, to kind of give us a little bit of an energy check. If these are the qualities here, if these seem like something that you're kind of dealing with, you can pick up some Smokey Quartz, and this might just be your reading. Of course, take what resonates, leave the rest. If it doesn't really resonate, you can go and move on to whatever else you want with your day, all right? Cool. So, we'll start off here. This is in alignment with our Earth chakra, which is a chakra that's located beneath the root chakra, and is kind of like our connection to Earth, Mother Gaia, Earth energy, that type of stuff here. So yeah. The physical qualities of smoky quartz, it has its gentle grounding. So I feel like there's immediately just a call to kind of ground ourselves here. Maybe take some time outside, in a gentle way. Be gentle with ourselves too, with it too. Like, we don't have to put pressure on ourselves in that way. And anyway, the physical qualities are, it provides gentle grounding into the earth to draw out life force energy. It alleviates all stress-related illnesses, brings calm and physical stability, repairs tissues in the feet, ankles, knees, and legs, supports relaxation. Emotional qualities are, it helps alleviate anxiety, hyperactivity, agitation, and overstimulation of any chakra, brings gentle emotional protection while allowing for flexibility, helps release emotions and negative thought patterns, dispels negative energy, provides serenity. And then there's also a affirmation we can use at the bottom. Either if you can't pick up these quartz, don't really want to, you can still use this affirmation, or you can use this affirmation with the quartz here to amplify it. So the affirmation is, I am gently grounded and relaxed. That sounds like a pretty good affirmation to use in general here. So let's go ahead and hop into our reading. Now, we're asking how we can love ourselves a little bit deeper here. And what I did is I took our Dragon Oracle cards, and we just got some of these guys for some big overarching energy for us, kind of give us a big general idea of things, and then we're clarifying those oracles with the tarot cards here, and I have it all laid out already ready for us. So that way you don't have to sit here and watch me do all this stuff and the things. So we'll start off here. We'll take a look at what our dragon cards said. So we got the solar dragon. I can pick it up. We got the solar dragon in reverse that came out here. We got the love dragon in reverse that came out. We got the seeker that came out. And fertility in reverse. So we'll start off, we'll take a look at the solar dragon here. Now that's obviously, well, if you know the regular major arcana from the normal tarot deck. Then this is in alignment with the Sun card. And then I'm going to read the little description that's in here because this booklet has really great insight into these cards here. I love it so much. So our reverse meaning here is if the sun is not shining upon you, you are in a darkness of your own creation. The solar dragon is never negative, but rather its energies can be ignored or unused. When you are living in a shadow, you may feel alone and isolated. The future may seem cloudy and vague. Things are not unfolding as you would like, but the light is there within you, ready and waiting to shine and illuminate your life. So that's, a really beautiful reminder that we're not that sun energy, that spark, that beautiful divine energy is always there. It's just whether or not we're tapping into it or not, right? And ultimately, we are able to tap into it. And immediately here, looking at the tarot cards that came with the solar dragon, already tells me that this is exactly the type of energy that we're sitting in, because I feel like, here, I'll try to show you a little bit kind of the way that this ended up getting laid out. And I promise I didn't intentionally do this. This is kind of how it happened, and I'm just now realizing. But it came out and is laid out like this, right? So we have the Six of Swords sitting on top of these other 4 cards. And these other 4 cards are, I'm going to have to try and cover this because YouTube's not going to like it. We have the Star, which is a great card. And we have, these are all great cards. We have the Queen of Wands, we have the Queen of Cups, and we have the Queen of Swords. So we have almost all the queens that came out for this one card here. And I feel like this is the type of energy that's waiting for us to tap into it, right? That's sitting there. That's kind of being ignored by us. And I think the way that we can kind of love ourselves a little bit deeper is to take a step out onto this journey to accept these sort of energies that are within ourselves, and to start to try to learn to work with these things. Because ultimately, this is going to be a whole journey to go on and learn how to work with these, and really, because I mean, if we're the type of person who hasn't really been accepting these energies within ourselves, or even just not even been able to see these energies within ourselves, it's going to take some work to actually go and achieve these things. But ultimately, through this entire process, this is what's sitting there, waiting for you, just sitting underneath this quote unquote negativity, this self given darkness that you're putting on yourself here. And then we'll take a look at our love card real quick. So the reverse meaning says, we make our own reality. So refusing to accept what life brings us is a form of self-rejection. This kind of situation creates a huge internal contradiction, which puts us out of balance. Furthermore, pursuing desires for short-term pleasure or comfort rather than embracing truth and challenges. Furthermore, pursuing desires for short-term pleasure or comfort rather than embracing truth and challenges can only lead to unhappiness. If you do not follow your heart, you may live with regret. Only the truth will set you free. So this is kind of the journey that we're going on, right? We're being asked to look at where we are pursuing short-term pleasure and comfort rather than embracing challenges and truth that may be difficult to embrace, but would ultimately bring us the long-term benefits that we want, that underlying energy that's sitting there waiting for us to tap into, right? And kind of partially how we can do this and how we can start to look at the ways that we're making our own reality is going to be the clarifying cards that we got here, because we have the Artist in reverse. Maybe we're feeling like we're not really much of a creative person. like to challenge, just because I think everybody is a creative person, whether or not you're the most talented artist ever. That's kind of that's a belief that a lot of people hold, that holds them back from this creativity, right? So maybe this is something that you kind of believe in within yourself, that you're not really a talented artist or anything like that. So what's the point of really doing anything like that? But the point is that you get to tap into your own inner creativity and your own beautiful energy that's within yourself, and kind of express yourself in a beautiful way. And this can be part of that reality that we've made for ourselves that tells us like all these negative things. And I'm feeling a real big tightness in my throat right now. So maybe there's kind of a call here to be really honest with ourselves and sit with ourselves of like, how are we refusing to accept? What in life are we refusing to accept? What are we refusing? Like, life's trying to give us things, right? And what are we refusing in that life wants to try to give us, right? So we also have the Seven of Swords in reverse here. Seven of Swords is usually a big deception card, but in the reverse meaning, it talks about responsibility, acceptance, challenges, and commitment. This is again like that sort of accepting ourselves energy, accepting those challenges and that truth. Literally accepting challenges, acceptance and challenges is literally sitting right here. And then kind of committing to ourselves in this way to try to go on this journey and to try to accept those challenging things that might show up for us. Then we also have the Hanged Man in reverse here, which talks about, in the reverse, it talks about indecision, delusion, delay, missed opportunity. So I think this is kind of calling us to look at maybe where we're being indecisive in life, where we may be telling ourselves some sort of delusion, where we may be believing some sort of delusion that's been projected onto us a little bit here. And kind of work through that sort of energy, right? And now this whole process is it's going to be a whole process. It's not going to be necessarily easy. However, this is a worthwhile journey to go on. It's going to be kind of hard. We're going to have to balance like kind of the in the moment. We're going to have to sacrifice the in the moment pleasures that we may get that maybe won't lead to anything long term for this long-term growth and this effort that we need to put in these challenges, work through them in order to actually sort of bring in the long-term happiness and growth and those real big stable energies that would really enrich our entire lives and put us in a much healthier place, right? Into that gentle, grounded place. And I think the gentleness is a big call here. I think there's a big thing to remember, to be gentle with yourself through this process. This is a whole process, and there's no time frame on this either. You're not, no matter where you are in this journey, whether you're just starting it or if you've been on this for a minute or anything like that, there's not a time frame for this, because this is sort of lifelong work that we're doing, right? So, and no matter what age you are too, you have time in order to do this. Like, you're not running out of time necessarily. That can be a big thing that gets talked about in society, is like this idea that we're running out of time, blah blah blah. But I mean, we have all the time that we're going to have, like, does that make sense? Like, we're always going to have all the time that we're going to have. So it's really how we're going to spend our time, right? And am I going to kind of like that idea of like the live fast and loose and crazy short life, or do I want to live a long, healthy, stable life? Like, what kind of life do you really want to live here? And I think we're really being asked to take a look at that and ask ourselves what we really want here. Do we want to tap into those deep energies that are within ourselves that put us in this? Do we want to basically like satisfy our soul by doing this growth work, or do we want to sit in these patterns of of satisfying ourselves in these short-term ways and ultimately end up dying at a much younger age in a much less satisfied way. Uh, and I know that may sound a little blunt, but I'm just trying to say that because I don't really know what other words to use here, and I kind of want to just get to the point a little bit, you know? So, like, I don't know. I think we're just being called to really sit with ourselves and sit with that question there. Like, how do we want to live our lives? Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the big question, right? And I think that's kind of the meaning of life if you're questioning that. I feel like the meaning is what we put into it. You know, do we want to live what do we want to value in our life? And if you want to go and live a short, crazy, whatever life, then that's your own choice, you know. And if you want to live a long, beautiful life that has all these wild, fulfilling experiences rather than like chaotic experiences that may feel good in the moment but won't feel good long term and may lead to a lot of regret. You want to, I mean, I personally know what I would choose, but it's up to you ultimately, and there's no judgment there. Even if it might sound like there is a little bit of judgment, I promise there's not any judgment. I don't give a fuck. So let's take a look at the seeker here, because I feel like you kind of are like you are looking for a little bit deeper. I mean, if you're here at all, you're looking for some sort of way to love yourself a little bit deeper, right? And you're probably looking for a little bit more. You're probably looking to live that like longer term live in that longer term happiness and have that sustained bliss and joy in your life, you know. And I feel like so and that's kind of where I feel like the seeker card comes in here, because the seeker in the uh tarot is the fool card, right? So it's kind of like us going out and taking this like taking this leap of faith on this new journey, and um like birthing in this new energy. And even though it may be hard and we don't really know what to expect, we're going to go and take this journey and take this leap of faith. And the Fool card in the normal Right Away Tarot is this young man dancing on this cliff edge, like without a care in the world, you know. And that's kind of like the energy that we're being asked to step into when we're going on this journey here, is to kind of like approach it with some curiosity and some childlike wonder and kind of a sense of innocence a little bit, you know. Um, and I want to read the meaning here. It says, "You have the opportunity to unlock the limitless potential that you hold within your being. Let go of the past and embrace the realm of self expression. Let no thought limit you. Don't believe others when they tell you that what you are dreaming of is impossible. So don't believe others when they tell you what you're dreaming of is impossible, okay? You create your own reality and you choose either consciously or subconsciously what you experience in life." I feel like that's just perfect confirmation for what I was literally just talking about. Is this is your choice, and I think you're being encouraged to choose, um, to ask yourself this question and to decide what you really want in life, and to choose either to take this journey or continue to live in those old patterns. And I feel like you're not somebody who wants to live in those old patterns. You want to have a fulfilling life, you know. You don't want to end up old and regretful for the way that you've lived your life. You want to be able to live a long and happy and fulfilling life. And I think a big thing that came out here with the seeker, I think these are sort of the energies that we've had in the past, is this 10 of Pentacles in reverse, which 10 of Pentacles is like all about that abundance. It's like that financial wealth and well-being, all that stuff. And then we also have the 10 of Cups in reverse as well here. And that's kind of the emotional uh, abundance, right? Being emotionally healthy and secure in ourselves, and being fulfilled emotionally as well. I mean, this card is literally depicting a mother and father with a baby, and like having a family, and like those sort of super high emotionally fulfilling things. And I feel like you've probably felt like you maybe can't ever have that, or and you can't ever have like you can't be a wealthy person. You can't have, and I feel like this isn't necessarily like financial wealth. This can be just wealth in life and having enriching experiences in life. And like that doesn't mean that you can't have financial wealth. And I'm not saying that at all. I just mean you've probably felt like these are things that you can't have in the past here, but you don't want that, right? And I feel, and so the way these came out was these were in reverse, and they were kind of sandwiched in between the high priestess here. And I feel like this is saying that like these are energies that like you're going to be stuck in unless you take a look inward at yourself, because the high priestess talks all about intuition, looking inward, that wisdom, that knowledge, that innate wisdom that we all have within us if we really truly sit within ourselves and ask ourselves these sort of questions and do this work. That's what's kind of blocking you from having these things. It's not that you can't have these things, it's that you won't let yourself have these things because you don't trust your inner knowledge, your inner wisdom to some level here. And these kind of came out all together here underneath the Seeker. And I feel like that's kind of part of what this journey is going to be, is learning how to get in touch with that inner wisdom within yourself. And this is what's going to create this sort of fast moving, like bring everything in for you that you desire, right? Is doing this work. And this will put you into so we also have the devil in reverse here, and the devil usually talks about, it's not actually devil energy. It can be, but I don't like reading like that. I don't think that that's helpful for anybody. I think that the devil energy really speaks to like transformation, um, sort of that devil within the like self-critic or whatever, the negative emotions that we might feel. In the reverse here, I feel like this is the energy that we're being called to step into, is this energy of detachment from whatever sort of self-indulgent things, whatever sort of short-term things that we're trying to avoid. This is that detachment from that. This is a stepping into freedom, awareness of ourselves, a little bit of vulnerability with ourselves, and with others around us. Probably more so ourselves here, because this is all about self-love, right? And this is kind of how we can step into that energy of self-love, is sort of detaching from whatever negative emotions we might be trying to escape from with certain short-term things, like especially if there's some sort of substance use here. A lot of times it can be very easy to use those things in a way to escape, right? And I feel like detaching a little bit from those things that we want to escape from, rather than just escape from them, maybe just taking a step back and looking at them from a detached space. That's kind of the detachment that we're talking about here, is looking at something from a detached space, not attaching ourselves and making and letting it envelop us, kind of taking a step back, realizing that that thing or those emotions that are there are not us. We are not that. And realizing that that is that can help us really like that's kind of the start of this work here, right? Is really looking at those things from that detached space, and kind of a neutral place, and like recentering ourselves in a way. There's, if you're feeling called to it all, I would recommend going and looking at pile number 1. We did talk a little bit about this sort of stuff in there, and I think there's going to be a lot of beautiful things for you there to kind of help put you in the right direction here. I really put things in in a nice way over there. So if you're feeling called to, do go take a look at that. That might help you dive a little bit deeper into this stuff. We did talk a little bit deeper about some of this stuff. This is more of like a general overarching, this is more of a starting point than that one was. And if you feel like you're maybe a little bit further along, or you want to dive a little bit deeper, I'd say go and check out the pile number 1 here. But anyway, we also have the Eight of Wands in reverse here, which talks about, the reverse one always gets me. It talks about frustration, delay, mistakes, confusion. I feel like this can be a big energy that we will encounter on this journey here, right? So this is something to be a little bit aware of as we do step down this journey. Is there's going to be frustration, there's going to be delay, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to be confused at times. And I want to tell you that, like, even though you are going to encounter these energies, because you just are going to encounter these energies, right? You can't go through life without encountering this type of stuff. Um, even though you are going to encounter this stuff, what you're going to learn through this journey is how to engage with those energies. This idea of, like, stepping into ourselves and connecting with our inner wisdom is going to teach us how to deal with these energies in a way that is actually helpful for us and actually enriches our lives, because um we get to we get to kind of sit with ourselves and teach ourselves how to do these different things. Does that make sense? I hope it does. uh, so sort of sit down and teach ourselves how to work with these energies and work with ourselves in a way that we don't get so frustrated about these delays, or so caught up in our mistakes, and or so confused about things, and like we can kind of learn how to work with these energies rather than get enveloped by them. So then we also have the Empress here, and I feel like this is kind of the energy that you'll end up learning how to step into, right? Is that Empress energy of standing in your power in a and this doesn't matter if you're male or female, because with tarot and with these sort of energies here, at least the way that I do it, is not gender specific at all. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us, and part of this journey is accepting those things, right? Is accepting, working with both the masculine and feminine energy here. But the Empress talks about. Let me find it real quick. The Empress talks about creation, abundance, luxury, nature, and pleasure. This is sort of the energy that you're um, ultimately going to be stepping into through this journey, right? Is this energy of creation. You're going to get in touch with that inner artist here, learn how to create in a way that feels good and satisfying to yourself without it needing to please other people, which is going to be make you feel really good. You're going to step into this energy of abundance and luxury and pleasure, and like feel really connected with nature. And like ultimately, this is where your soul is kind of being called to step into with this journey here. And this is kind of that driving force that's gonna that like or that guiding light for you too, is like this sort of energy is where you want to be, right? You want to be in that abundance and that creation energy, um, in that pleasure for yourself, right? um, and I do want to say, if this is a new journey that you're stepping onto, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun at times or all the time. And you're not going to feel this energy all the time. But that's kind of the point of this journey, right? Is to kind of teach us how to step into that energy and learn how to trust ourselves enough to be in that energy in a way that feels good and allows us to actually attract in all that abundance. Then we also have the Page of Cups in reverse here, which says talks about immaturity, insecurity, apathy, and impulsiveness. And I think this is more energy that we're going to be encountering along this journey here. Probably energy that you're already dealing with anyway. But you're going to learn how to handle these types of energies as you step into this self-love journey in a deeper way. You're going to maybe you feel like you're kind of immature in ways, or I mean, at least emotionally immature too, because the cups don't talk about emotions. So like this is kind of emotional immaturity mostly. So you can kind of learn how to become emotionally mature and deal with your insecurities in a healthy way, and kind of step out of that energy of apathy you might feel for the world. And ultimately, this is the work that, like, this is how we change the world, is we change ourselves first, right? If we can do the work for ourselves, then and change ourselves, then ultimately that's going to ripple out into the rest of the world. We don't necessarily have to put in the work to do all these things. You don't have to do what I'm doing here to do that. You can just shine and be a bright light in this world, and lead by example through this process here. Ultimately, that's the goal, right? So we have Page of Cups. What else is here? Yeah, and impulsiveness too. I think this impulsiveness is kind of, I mean, that's kind of the underlying energy for these sort of short-term or gratification type of things that we're getting into here. That's kind of that we're trying to leave behind in the past, and we're going to learn how to work with that sort of impulsivity as we step onto this journey and into this path, into this light here. So let's look at our last oracle card here. This one's interesting. It is fertility in reverse. Now, fertility talks about like rebirth, being in a fertile time. It is also the Empress energy. So this is kind of that reversed Empress energy here. This is probably more so the energy that we're in now versus that energy that we're going to be in the future going on this journey. Excuse me. And this energy that we're in now, I want to read the reversed meaning that's in the booklet here. It says, indecision comes when you dwell on a contradiction. One part of you deeply wants to trust what you intuitively know, while another part of you fears the unknown. Feel the fear, but don't believe in it. Worry and anxiety are no more than projections of your past into your future. It is only through letting the past go and being fully present that we can create a bountiful new life. And I think that's, that's a beautiful thing to remember as we go on this journey here is when worry and anxiety do show up, it's important to remember that they're just projections of that fear from your past getting placed onto your future, right? So this is an energy that we're going to also learn how to deal with, and as we do that, this is ultimately what's kind of blocking us from this Empress energy that we're trying to step into here. And part of this, we had the Page of Pentacles that came out, but it came out sideways. So I'm trying to feel out how this is meant to come through, the sort of message that's meant. Like it came out sideways, and I was like, well, okay, is it supposed to be upright or reverse? And I spun it around to kind of see how it landed, and it kept showing up sideways. So I feel like that it was meant to actually be sideways for some reason here. Maybe we're just meant to like read both the interpretations here. So the upright meaning for Page of Pentacles is opportunity, discovery, manifestation, and mastery. I feel like that's kind of what we're going to learn, maybe learn how to see these opportunities, and maybe discover like these beautiful opportunities within ourselves to grow and change. And then the reverse meaning is ignorance, immaturity, resentment, and frustration. So I feel like maybe there's just both of these energies that's present in this sort of place that we are now. Like maybe like I know that there is definitely maybe we're feeling a bit of resentment for some stuff, some frustration in our lives in general, and some general immaturity. And I think it's okay to be immature. It's just important to also be honest with ourselves and accept that we are a little immature. That's part of the process here, is acceptance with ourselves. And I feel like there's an opportunity within ourselves here to discover our true selves and master ourselves here, and master these sort of energies within ourselves, and kind of master this immaturity, and ultimately mature in a beautiful way. We also have the Nine of Wands here, coupled with the Judgment and the Strength card. Now, Judgment's not like divine judgment or judging ourselves necessarily. It can be that, and there can be the energy of like self judgment. And I do want to say, go easy with yourself again. Like, be gentle with yourself here through this whole process. Seriously, be so gentle with yourself. So gentle. Give yourself grace and forgiveness and love. That's ultimately the point of all of this, is learning how to do this stuff, is learning how to love ourselves a little bit deeper. Part of that is being gentle as well. But judgment ultimately talks about, let me find it here. So I want to read what it says in here for you. So judgment ultimately talks about like a rebirth, a renewal, freedom. There's an absolution energy here, but I feel like that's less relevant. But there's a big idea of rebirth here, and kind of this Nine of Wands. You see how this guy, like, he's kind of beat up, but it's like he's kind of mastered these energies within himself, and this is like that energy that you're heading towards with this journey here. Is might get a little beat up, but ultimately you're going to learn how to master these energies within yourself. And this is going to not only be a big rebirth and a renewal for yourself and show you some beautiful things that show you what you're capable of, also show you how strong you are. That's why the strength is here, to show you how strong you truly are, how much strength you have within yourself here. And especially doing this process. If you're here and you're still listening to this message and you're going on this journey, that is the strongest thing that you can do in this world. I don't care what anyone else says. That is the strongest thing that you can do. It is not an easy journey. It's not an easy decision to make, and not everyone makes that decision. Um, and you know, and I want to commend you for even being here, because that's a big step. So the strength also talks about inner calm, courage, control, patience. This is a big energy that we're going to be asked to have on this journey here, especially that patience energy. It's important to be very patient with ourselves. It's kind of where that gentleness comes in. But we're also going to like learn how to be more calm and peaceful. And um, life is, it might be a little difficult for some time, and it might not immediately get easier, but ultimately life will get easier through this process. Sometimes things get a little worse before they get better. However, ultimately staying open and learning throughout this whole process is going to make things easier, and being willing to make these changes is going to be very helpful for us, right? And then ultimately, we're going to be stepping into this sort of Knight of Cups energy. We're going to become masters of our own emotions, of our own selves, of our inner world, and we're going to be able to go out into the world and take this out there and start to enjoy beautiful, wonderful, the beautiful, wonderful life that is here for us right here in the present moment. And I think that's a big thing too here is learning to be present with ourselves in the here and the now, no matter where we're at in our lives, no matter where we're at on this journey, is learning how to be present and being accepting of wherever we are in our current journey. We also have the Two of Cups in reverse here, which I want to take a look at for you. So the Two of Cups in reverse talks about imbalance, disconnection, unworthiness, and struggle. So this also feels like an energy kind of the past, maybe a bit of motivation for you to go on this journey. And maybe some places that we need to look at, maybe to start off here a little bit, is like look where we have some imbalance in our life, maybe in our connections, especially in our connections here. Two of Cups is very much about our relationships, especially if you've had a little bit of a tough time in relationships in the past, either romantic or platonic or familial, whatever sort of relationships you've had. There can be a lot of imbalance in that, and you're going to learn how to start to balance these energies out. And it might be a little difficult, and there might be some people in your life who don't necessarily want to see these changes happen, either subconsciously or consciously. But I think it's important to remember that to trust yourself through this process here. And there might be an energy of unworthiness here, like maybe you're not even worthy of going on this journey. And I want to stop you right there and tell you that you are very much worthy to go on this journey. You are a worthy person. You are worthy to have all these beautiful, wonderful things in your life. If I can do it, so can you. And I'm not saying that I've done it necessarily. I'm just saying that, like, I have been doing this stuff for a few years now, and I used to feel unworthy that I could even, like, I used to feel like I wasn't worthy of all these, beautiful, wonderful things that I wanted in my life, and that right there is a tough energy to work through. And I want to just tell you that, like, you are worthy to have these things. It is a worthwhile investment to invest in yourself and learn how to love yourself on a deeper level here. And if you've made it to this point in the video, I really just want to, like, commend you for even being here, and remind you that you are worthy to have all of this. If you've been sitting through all of this, and you, like, that alone shows that you're worthy. You don't even have to do that. You don't have to do anything to be worthy. You are worthy just by existing in this on this world, in this planet. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what your past is, I don't care what it is. It really does not matter. As long as you are committed to love yourself and to learning how to better engage with the world around you, and learning how to better your own life, that's incredible. That's something that not a lot of people tend to do, especially lately. I think there is this big call for a lot more people to do that. Um, but most people aren't going to take that call and make that decision. So I am. I just want to say thank you for watching this. I'm getting a little emotional. I'm not going to lie, because this is something that I'm really passionate about. I have had a lot of struggles in my life, and it's taken a long time for me to get to a point where I feel even comfortable being on here and talking to other people about anything like this. But this is something that I've been very dedicated to for a while, is, self love and taking care of myself, and learning that I am worthy, and that I am worthy to have good things in my life. It's very easy to tell ourselves that, like, just because of some way we may have acted in the past, or some mistake we may have made that we feel regretful about, that makes us unworthy. And that right there is an illusion. That's a lie. And we're on this planet ultimately to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. And as long as we're doing that, and especially if we're actively engaging in that, then that makes us incredible beings, at least in my opinion. And anyone who wants to tell you differently, you can just tell them to shut up and get out. Like, you don't need to listen to them, is what I'm trying to get at there. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. I really hope you did. And if you are starting this journey, or if you've been on this journey or whatever, if you want to share some words of encouragement to anybody else in this place, going on this journey or doing anything like this, then you can leave that down in the comments below. I really want it to be a nice, positive place for people to, like, share their experiences. And I'd love to hear from you guys too, especially, like, what resonated, what didn't resonate, that kind of stuff. It'd be super awesome. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. If you got something out of this and you want to show your appreciation, the best and simplest way that you can do that is just by leaving a like on the video. That's going to help out a lot. And if you want to join me on this journey, you can subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you again so much for watching. I love you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night whenever you're watching. Bye.